Part 3, GangStalking Chronicles. All right, so I go to North Dakota, yada yada yada. My food stamp card is found under the air conditioner. I bolt back to Oregon immediately. Okay, I hear this. I hear through the walls. Okay, I hear one Barbara Kessler, and I'm like, one Barbara Kessler? That's my ex-wife. And they're out there talking. They go, we got to figure out who this guy is. They go. They said, well, it's him. They said, well, God, he's a domestic terrorist. It says. And then they say it looks like his wife really raked him over the coals during their divorce. So I'm using this bowl it's a ice, something you put ice in. I'm using it and I'm cupping it up against the wall in an access panel. I took the access panel off the wall for pipes and I put it there and I'm listening to the walls to the people next door. So I go down to the front desk and I ask Josephine, I said, who rented the room out next to us? She says, oh, I don't know. I said, well, can you look? And she looks and she says, it's Williston Construction Company. There's no Williston Construction Company, and the hotels don't allow local construction companies or residents to stay there at Boomtown. You have to have out-of-state ID to stay at this motel. And there's a big sign right behind the desk that says so. And she goes, I say, so how can that be? I go, look at the sign right there. And she looks at her eyes get all big. I said, who rented the room out? Okay? So they were undercover cops. We're buying weed from a guy named Lester in North Dakota, and we're getting followed around by Halliburton trucks. And I tell her, I said, those aren't Halliburton trucks, man. Those are cops. We're getting followed. She said, you're just fucking paranoid. Well, Lester calls up and says, a couple days go by. He never shows up to get our weed. We're figuring what the fuck's going on. We drive up to White Horse, Montana, and sleep in a ditch because I'm saying this ain't right. Lester gets a hold of us the next day. Says, "Man, I got in a high-speed chase. They busted me. I managed to throw everything out the window except about a gram in my scales of weed." And because my boss David from I can't remember the name of the construction company, but his name was David from Michigan. Detroit, Michigan. And he narked Lester off because they got into a fight, and he was Lester was his weed dealer too. That's how I got hooked up with him. Was my boss, okay? So he turns him in. He gets busted, all right. And he goes, they were Halliburton trucks. He says they started chasing me. He says they pulled me over. He says on one side they were wearing lanyards that said Halliburton. On the other it was FBI. Okay. So then we bolt back to Oregon, okay? By this time, Josephine Harrelson is a handler. I realize that there's some perpy shit, man. She had me sign something to see if my signature was like the one on the food stamp card. I mean, all kinds of little shit, but we'll get into that later. So I get back to Oregon, and we split up, okay? We split up. And she's pregnant with my baby boy, Uriah. So I say, fuck this. I go back to North Dakota, right? I go back to North Dakota because that's where the money is. This time I go back with a friend that I was working with at CellMed Industries in Albany. Because I went right back to Oregon, started working in a machine shop in Albany. I was grinding ingots, titanium ingots for CellMed. And my coworker next to me, I get to talk about North Dakota and the split up and everything, and he says, man, I want to go. I want to do. He says, I'm so sick of this. I want to go. I said, do you really? I said, let's go. And he says, let's go. So we left that work that day, packed up, changed his oil, did some maintenance on his Jeep. Randy, my son Robbie, and I go to North Dakota. By the time I forgot to tell you, my sciatic nerve is out. I'm on crutches right at this point. But no perpy shit's going on at this point. No gang stalking that I'm aware of. I get back to North Dakota, and my sciatic nerve is out. I can't go do construction. I'm freaking out. I'm in North Dakota now, and I can't walk. So I get on my crutches. I hobble down to Arby's, where I had guaranteed job anywhere in the country because I went to Triarch, basically Arby's school for Hamburger University for Arby's, basically. and took in my credentials. They hired me on the spot, 60 grand a year as a manager. So they give me a flat with 3 rooms overlooking the college. It's part of my, we'll call it per diem or whatever, or my package. And I rent a room out to Randy, and Robbie's staying with me. And during this time, things start getting weird. There's this guy with a jump. There's this van shows up, and the side of the van says giant jumpers for rent. You know, like for kids' parties and shit. Well, Randy and I are sitting there one day. We're just sitting there talking. All of a sudden, my key. You have to have a code to get into the building. And all of a sudden, the code goes through. The door opens up, and a dog just walks into our fucking apartment. How's that? True shit, man. So, my sciatic nerve gets better. So I go back doing construction. That's what I came to Williston to do. So I'm going to work. I meet Mike Keppel, and finish out the season, and come back to Oregon. This was right around Super Bowl time, 2015. Okay. So my son is born. I got a hold of Josephine and said, I should at least let me pay child support, man. This is my son. And she says, all right, you deserve to be in his life. She sends me pictures. She comes, hangs out with me. We go to my friend Kevin's house. We conceive another baby. So she's pregnant. We got a little one, and but she's got to keep me a dirty little secret. And I don't understand. She won't tell her parents. She's sneaking over to my Uncle Jeff's house to show me the baby and shit. First time I see my son without his clothes on, I knew there was something wrong. His sternum bone was exposed. He was emaciated. Always cried. He would never stop crying. He was the saddest, most miserable baby I'd ever seen. Let me tell you something. At this point, I got 7 kids. Okay. At this point, man, and I'm in my children's lives. I changed diapers. I cleaned up puke. I was there on first day of school. I helped teach them to read, do math, all that shit a dad does. Okay, bought them all the good, cool shit, PlayStations. They had everything the rich kids had. All right, and so I know what a healthy child looks like. I'm a dad, and this child was not right. And I told her, I said, that kid needs to see a fucking pediatrician. I told her that little boy needs to see a pediatrician. I said, something ain't right with him, man. That little boy, I said straight up, I watch him breastfeed for hours on you, and he cries like he's not getting fed. There's something wrong with your milk, okay? And then she lies to me finally, because I'm bitching about her for a couple weeks about it. She lies to me, tells me he saw a pediatrician. Pediatrician just said, you just need to change to formula. Bullshit. Okay, we get an apartment a couple weeks later together. And she's up with the baby one night, and I hear the baby crying. I wake up. I just lay there in bed. She doesn't know I'm awake, and she grabs my son, and she goes, "God damn it! If you don't shut up, I'm gonna fucking kill you." That's what she did to my son. She grabbed him, real fucking little baby, man. And I just got up. I go, "Oh my God! I've fucking heard of women doing this shit, but I have never seen it." So I got up. I went and took the boy out of her hands. I said, listen, you need some sleep, Mama. I said, I got this. She said, you got to go to work. I said, I got this. I said, you go get some sleep. And I sat there with my son. Well, I took the phone. We had an iPhone. And while she's asleep, she's left all of her pages open. And there's where I find the truth. She is trying to cover up that he is dying. In her own thing, she's Googling what's wrong with him. She knows there's something wrong, but she won't take him to the doctor. So I wait till the alarm goes up when she's got to take me to work. And I'm holding my son. I said, listen. I said, this is what's going to happen. I said, you're going to get dressed, and we're going to take this child to a hospital right now. I said, or I'm going to call 911, and I'm going to ride to the ambulance with my son to the hospital. And I said, if you want to call the fucking cops and have me arrested for kidnapping, you go ahead. Because she had prior said if I took off with him at all, she'd have me arrested. I'm not on the birth certificate, right? So I told her that. She started in with her bullshit again, and I stomped the ground. Wham! I said, you fucking cunt! You selfish fucking cunt! He's dying, I said. And so she said, fine. She got up real quiet because she knew I wasn't fucking playing games at that point. Okay, so she got up real quiet, took the baby, put him in his thing. She goes, fine. She goes, I'll take him at lunch when I bring you lunch. I said, okay. So she calls me just after 11 o'clock before lunch. She says, Rob, I took the baby to the hospital and they took him. They said that he is failure to thrive. They contacted CPS and the police. I said, whoa, 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 what? I couldn't believe it. So I try to go in and try to get custody of my son. They say, you got a Class A good cause on you. We can't even let you have your son. I go, what the fuck is a Class A good cause? What are you talking about? So what happened is Josephine turned to me. She said, Rob, there's something I got to tell you. While you were in North Dakota, I defamed you. I told people that you pimped me, you strung me out on drugs, and you pimped me out. I go, what the fuck? I said, that's on record? She said, yes. I go, you go tell them you lied right now. You straighten that shit up. She goes, I will. I'm sorry, Rob. I needed to do it so my parents would let me back in their home. I made you a boogeyman. I said, my God, we'll fix it. So I leave the hospital. I go back to work and I tell the crew. I said, guys, you're not going to believe this. I'm Robbie the fucking pimp. This is what she told people. I went down to get my son and this is what they said. Okay. So she admitted it. She told me she went around to my jobs and defamed me. Labor Works, the manager's name is Steve. I intend on having private investigators search this out also. Okay, because she flat out told me that I was Labor Works for years. All of a sudden, I can't get a job. And they say, yeah, we have no intention to give you any jobs, Robert. I'm like, why? They said, we can't tell you that. I couldn't fucking believe it. So Josephine went in and talked to Steve and cleared it up, and I started working again. Went in there and told him that she was upset and defamed me. Okay, what was said, I don't know. But the kid was taken. We ended up being told we have to, they flat out say we have to go to like 6 hours a day in these parenting classes and CPS classes during the time when we're supposed to be working. They said, we don't know what to tell you. Get night jobs. So now we've got to quit our fucking jobs and go to these classes to get our kids back. All right, so that's what we did. We started working at Bornstein Foods in Astoria, Oregon. All right, and at this point, there's no gang stalking going on. It hadn't happened since, like I said, 2013, when my daughter and I got in the high-speed chase. They brided us. They hit me with directed energy weapons. I ended up in the hospital. They said, or I had a nurse in the room with me who screamed out that he was having a stroke. I would go to talk, and when I would go to talk, words that I wanted to say, like for example, I looked at my daughter who was in the room with me, and I wanted to say, I'm scared, I don't feel right. That's what I wanted to say. In my mind, that's what I tried to say. But when my mouth opened up, other words came out, and I heard it, and it was terrifying. And that's when the nurse stood up and said, she's having a stroke. So they came in, they rolled me over, they injected me with this shit, and anyways, I ended up going to sleep, and I ended up getting taken home asleep, and I wake up like some 18 hours later from this injection they gave me. And then the high-speed chases, and et cetera, all kinds of crazy shit, but that was in part 2, I think, of the Chronicles. Back to Vancouver. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna do part 4 because part 4 is a whole nother fucker fella.